sir.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Palmer, and I'll be your online worship leader today. During the service, we recommend you have your Zoom screen set to speaker view. Common Ground is our celebration of worship for people of many paths who are gathering virtually to share in the responsible search for meaning and truth. Pathways is a warm and open community where all who come with open minds and kind hearts are welcome, regardless of ability, age, race, gender, gender identity, or sexual orientation. We hope that all who join us today find this a safe online place to worship. Now I'd like to welcome our speaker for today, the Reverend Rob Moore.
Good morning, everyone. I am very glad that you are here, and I am so happy to be here with you. I always enjoy coming back to Pathways and being with you for worship. I am the Reverend Rob Moore. I am the affiliated community minister at Horizon UU Church in Carrollton and a spiritual director and retreat leader. Today's service is about contemplation and action. So I invite you to let every pause for breath, for reflection, for music be an opportunity to be still, to accept what is, and to be all of who we are in this moment. So let us begin right now and pause briefly to take one mindful breath. So I invite you to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, even making an audible sound since we are all on mute. And may this breath draw our attention to this time and this place, wherever you find yourself in this moment. And I invite you to repeat as necessary while we continue through our worship service today.
And now, as we all remain muted, please feel free to join in or just enjoy listening as we play our opening song for this morning, Gather the Spirit.
Trials
As we virtually light our chalice this morning, please join me in these words. We gather today in a community of practice, not knowing what is to come and what may be asked of us. May the light we now kindle call us to be fully present, here and now, in this moment. And may this moment and this community hold us in our uncertainty in loving kindness. I invite you now to join me in a renewal of our sacred promises. Please read along with me. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other.
And now for our call to worship, please hear these words from Irish poet and priest John O'Donoghue. Awaken to the mystery of being here and enter the quiet immensity of your own presence. Have joy and peace in the temple of your senses. Receive encouragement when new frontiers beckon. Respond to the call of your gift and the courage to follow its path. Let the flame of anger free you from all falsity. May warmth of heart keep your presence aflame. May anxiety never linger about you. May your outer dignity mirror an inner dignity of soul. Take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. Be consoled in the secret symmetry of your soul. And may you experience each day as a sacred gift woven around the heart of wonder. In this spirit, come, let us worship together.
Now let yourself relax and be at ease as we listen to our worship song, filled with loving kindness.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness.
Our reading this morning comes from Father Richard Rohr from his daily meditations from July. As we come to know our soul gift more clearly, we almost always have to let go of some other gifts so we can do our one or two things with integrity. Such letting go frees us from always being driven by what has been called the tyranny of the urgent. Soon, urgency is a way of life, and things are not done peacefully from within. What if we choose to simply do one or two things wholeheartedly in our lives? That is all God expects and all we can probably do well. Too much good work becomes a violence to ourselves and finally to those around us. The gospel is not about being nice. It is about being honest and just, and the world doesn't like those two things very much. Our job is to learn how to be honest, but with love and respect. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. taught us that before we go out to witness for justice, we have to make sure that we can love and respect those with whom we disagree. Imagine the surrender necessary for those who have been oppressed for hundreds of years to continue to work peacefully for justice. Frankly, I don't know how anyone can do it without contemplation. How do we get to that deep place where we do not want to publicly expose, humiliate, or defeat our opponents, but rather work, as Dr. King said, for win-win situations? When we are hurt, we want to hurt back. When we are put down, we want to put down the opponent. That is our ego's natural defense mechanism. We all move toward the ego, and when even solidify it as we get older if something doesn't expose it for the lie that it is. Not because it is bad, but because it thinks it is the whole and only thing. We change from inside, from the power position to the position of vulnerability and solidarity, which gradually changes everything. True contemplation is the most subversive of activities because it undercuts the one thing that normally refuses to give way, our natural individualism and narcissism. Once we are freed from our narcissism that thinks we are the center of the world, or that our rights and dignity have to be defended before other people's rights and dignity, we can finally live and act with justice and truth. Now I invite you to join me in a moment of meditation and silence. I invite you now to join together, to breathe together, to simply be together. May we find a place of comfort and support wherever you find yourself, in your chair, on your sofa, in bed, on the floor. Find that posture that leaves you balanced and supported. I invite you to take a few deep breaths. As before, in through the nose, out through the mouth, with an audible exhale if you wish. Even this practice of 2 or 3 deep breaths automatically causes the body to release and relax if only for a little bit. And as your breath falls to its natural rhythm, with no forcing or control, just a gentle in and out, I invite you to continue the practice from our earlier hymn of loving kindness. I invite you to call to mind someone, some group of someones, yourself, that might need some loving kindness this day. I invite you to call that person to mind as fully as possible. All the visual, the sounds, the smells, the setting. As much as possible, bring someone to mind. And let us offer that person loving kindness this day. Repeating to yourself in your mind and your heart, may you be happy. May I be safe. May we be strong and healthy. May you be at peace. And as we join together in just a couple of moments of silence, I invite you to continue offering this loving kindness and these phrases to the person you have selected. May I be happy. May you be healthy and strong. May we be safe. May we be at peace. Let us be together in silence. Out of this silence, the first language of the holy, may the peace and stillness that you have gained in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, and in that of those you have named, may it continue this day and all the days to come. So may it be, and amen. Back in June, during our Horizon worship service on YouTube, I heard our minister say something close to this. Whatever you choose to do with your one wild, precious life is enough, because you are enough. It is enough to go to a protest. It is also enough to stay home and send money to Black Lives Matter or other social justice causes. It is enough to take food items to the food pantry. It is also enough to stay home and contribute what you can financially. It is enough to vote. And as I listened to that in the moment of that service, I felt a visceral easing of tension and questioning. But I also heard a distinct voice saying at the exact same time, is it really enough though? Is it really? And so, welcome to my world, and I suspect to the world of many of us when faced with the suffering of the world weighing on us and wondering what we can do and how best to do that. It is that push and pull of self-care and responding to a hurting world, of putting your mask on first before assisting others, of contemplation and action. Now, like any good seeker, Unitarian, Universalist, or otherwise, my first thought was, I need to find a book to point me in the right direction. But even that seemingly easy task of finding a book is fraught with decisions of which book, what's the right one, what's the best one for me. The nonfiction list is stacked these days with anti-racist selections, but are those the way to go? Now, as I have been in formation these last few years as a spiritual director, I have come more and more toward a contemplative mindset in life. When I think about what is mine to do, I increasingly turn to trying to figure out a contemplative approach. I feel that that is my niche these days, both in the world and in the congregation that I attend and serve. So as I look through the book lists, I wonder which come at a particular issue from a contemplative approach. Given that racial justice has been at the forefront of the news and perhaps our minds the last few months, I settled on two books, The Inner Work of Racial Justice by Rhonda McGee and Mindful of Race by Ruth King. So I've only made it through the first one so far, but it is exactly what I was hoping for. So as we ask, what is ours to do? And is it enough? Let us see how the contemplative life and spiritual practices can point us in a direction or toward a path. We will use racial justice today as our example, but these practices can be useful for whatever action you are drawn to or called to for yourself and your gifts. Dr. McGee in The Inner Work of Racial Justice offers a wonderfully practical method of mindfulness that she calls color insight. Now, I love a list as much as the next person, and so I'll try to take us through the basics of what she has to say and summarize it as best I can and as it makes sense to me. Now, as with all lists and methods, I will have to say it out loud in a line, linearly. But these will not be necessarily linear steps or progressive from one to the next to the next. But as with all things on a path, it will mix and mingle and fold in upon itself as we move forward in our individual and collective spiritual path. So the first practice is simply to de-stress, to relax, to recharge, and to re-engage the body. It is a practice of getting in touch with our bodies once again. One common practice is a body scan, where as you sit in mindfulness, you draw your attention to various parts of your body, maybe even going from head to toe or toe to head, and check in with your body and how it's feeling. Is there tension somewhere? Is there tightness? Am I feeling loose and at ease? Anywhere in between? Are my shoulders scrunched up toward my ears? Is my tongue firmly planted in the roof of my mouth? Whatever it might be, getting in touch with your body and how it is feeling in any moment. And as you progress in this practice, you start to hear your body a little more. You can hear it more in times where you're not just sitting in silence or doing a particular practice. This is a connection possibly to our Soul Matters theme for this month of deep listening. Listening to your body once again. And as you continue in your practice, you start to be able to listen to your body and hear it even when you're just sitting at your desk for work, for example, or watching TV or driving down the road. You're like, oh, I'm feeling tense in my body. I'm feeling that lump in my throat, whatever it might be. And as you progress a little further, you start to think, now I'm feeling those butterflies in my stomach. What does that mean? What triggered that? What might be underneath that? And so as you continue to re-engage and listen to your body, the practice goes deeper and deeper. And as you go along this path, your body begins to naturally ease and relax. And it remains so for a little longer, even after your discrete practice. And so as you continue in that practice of relaxing, re-engaging with your body, next may be what we have practiced this morning of loving kindness, of self-compassion, another version of loving kindness. It is saying to yourself and to others, may I be happy. May I be at ease. May I be free from suffering, or various phrases like that. There are many variations on these phrases. Now, two fruits of this loving kindness practice, or as I mentioned, self-compassion, is an increasing awareness of your own fears, angers, biases, your wonders, your joys, your blessings, and accepting all as it is without judgment. Another fruit of the practice is expanding your circle of compassion. The practice itself moves from loving kindness toward yourself to someone who is easy to love and to offer loving kindness, moving on to someone who may be more neutral, just someone you encounter during your day at the coffee shop or the grocery store. And then moving on to someone potentially difficult, who you have a contentious relationship in some way. And finally, on ever expanding circles, including your community, your nation, your world, outward and outward more and more. Now, some feel that loving kindness meditation is a luxury, is a fluffy practice. There are those who say, including my own inner critic, that it's time to get off the meditation cushion and out into the world. Hence, this question of what is mine to do. But let us not skip over loving kindness too quickly. So think about it. If we are really looking honestly at our motivations, at our biases, our fears, our blessings, if we are listening to our body and figuring out where we find those sensations of discomfort, as we dive into those more and more, we need to have more and more self-compassion for ourselves. That is difficult work, and examining all of that inner work within ourselves. That is why we need loving kindness. And as we do that for ourselves, we naturally engage and deepen our compassion for others. we notice that we are not the only ones suffering. We have more of an understanding, more of a compassion for the suffering of others. And so as we continue on with that practice of loving kindness, we do start to engage and think about more of joining out into the world. And this is where we begin to have a practice of mindful, imaginative meditation. So it is still our inner work, but we're starting to push the boundaries of that a little bit, doing the inner work so that I can be in relationship more easily and more authentically with others. So there are many practices within this type of category, imaginative mindfulness meditation. So with this grounding of listening to our bodies, of loving kindness for ourselves and others, we begin to look more concretely at our inner motivations, at our biases, our desires, our intentions. We begin to notice that we get activated or triggered by certain things, whether it's watching the news, maybe reading a social media post, or maybe just having the relationship with a family member who's right in front of us. So how do we respond to those triggers versus react out of anger or fear? So if we're in the moment and we find ourselves triggered or activated by something, one practice is called stop. Easy to remember, S-T-O-P. We stop, literally stop what's going on in that moment, stop our reaction. That's the S. The T is we take that one conscious, mindful breath. And maybe that one turns into 2 or 3, but taking that conscious, mindful breath. And within that mindful breath, we observe. There's the O. What is arising for me right now? What is going on in this environment that's triggering or activating? And then P, proceed. We respond versus react with the wisdom gained from those first 3 steps. So that's one practice for when you get activated in the moment. And more broadly, there's a RAIN practice. It's very similar, R-A-I-N. You recognize the pain, the suffering, the joy, the beauty that you are feeling in a moment, that whether in yourself or in someone else, you accept what you are recognizing. Seeing deeply what is there without judgment. If you are seeing discomfort, if you are seeing fear, if you are seeing anger within yourself, you are accepting that this is what is happening with me right now without judgment. That's the hard part, without judgment. And then investigate, what is going on with that? Why am I feeling the anger, the fear, the joy, the blessing? What is underneath all of that? And all the while that you're recognizing that, you're growing. You're growing in empathy, in compassion, in wisdom. And then the N, non-identification. Whatever you discover in the accepting and the investigating part, now you let go. Let go of what you discovered in the other 3 steps. Again, without judgment and without attachment or clinging. And so here's where we get into intentionally deeper questioning. And this is where the imagination comes in with the mindfulness practice. And in this example for today of racial justice, where you start asking those general questions like, what does my skin or skin tone mean to me? How have I been wounded or benefited as a result of this particular skin that I live in? What about my heritage, my ancestors? Where did my ancestors call home? How did they come to be here in this country? Perhaps most importantly, what parts are unknown or hidden in my ancestors' story? And what arises in me as I reflect on these questions? And then as we go out further, begin to think about engaging with others, talking about race in a group, perhaps a group of familiars, people that you know, people that are like you. And then you imagine, what if I have that same conversation in a group of strangers with those of other races or genders? What thoughts or emotions arise within you? That was a hard one for me to think about. How do I have that difficult conversation? How do I hold my discomfort in that situation? So these are just a taste of some of the pieces that that Dr. McGee gives us in her book. And I encourage you to continue to look through that book if this is of interest to you, to see all of the depth of practices that she offers to us. And as we continue with this practice of imagining what it will be like out in the world, seeing what how our bodies react, just even in the imagining, next is time to actually go out into the world. As we continue these practices, we will get that call to, now it's time to step out into the world. And this is where we join together in groups, in community, mindful community, mindful communication. And this is where we join together in church at Pathways, where you join together in Soul Matters groups, and all of your other groups after the service along the path, Harried Reasoners, the Mystics Path, all of the groups that you have here in this congregation. So as you continue in your individual practice, all of that informs how you will be in the world with others across from you. So it guides us into community in love. How do I respond in love? How do I join together in love to create safer space, to create brave space? Soul Matters groups are, in my opinion, wonderful examples of this kind of covenant and group. The packets that we receive each month with the themes that have increasingly inclusive racial questions and themes for investigation. This is an intention of mine this year as we move into a new year of Soul Matters, is to engage more fully with those racial exercises. So whatever setting that we find ourselves in these contemplative practices, that practices lead us into community with a little more awareness, a little more loving kindness for ourselves and for each other, a little more integrity and wholeness. And I know that this integrity and wholeness and loving kindness is something that this world and all of us and all of our families and workplaces and cities can use more of. And finally, we get to mindful action. We get to what is ours to do. So as I've dipped my toe into this process of color insight, this practice of a broader contemplative life, I've come to realize that the question itself, what is mine to do, is a bit of an illusion. Another fruit of spiritual practice is more of a comfort and awareness of the unknown. I've had an intention and practice of surrender the last few years. I've learned that many times when I ask myself this question, what is mine to do? I am reacting to my own discomfort with the unknown, my discomfort with a huge issue that one person can't possibly change with any one or two actions. As I and we continue to practice, I find myself more aware of what I already do that furthers this and other work. Preaching this sermon, for example, participating in and leading Soul Matters groups. I also find myself being more aware of the smaller invitations that lead me down the path, such as the invitation to reflect further with Soul Matters this year. Then I'm aware of the kernel of faith that if I continue to be open to these invitations and to surrender to the unknown, then more will be revealed along the way, which will continue to point me in the right direction for me and for my gifts. And so as we've walked through all of these steps, I hope you can see how they all fold in on one another, build on one another. In any one moment, we'll find ourselves to be in one place or another along the path, focusing on the body or loving kindness in one moment, out in the world, engaging in the work with others the next moment. I hope you can appreciate also how difficult it can be at times, and that we can commit ourselves to self-compassion and self-care along the way. And so we come back to the original questions that we started with. Am I enough? Is what I do with my life enough? So my stubborn streak, a mile long, meant that I had to question and see for myself. I couldn't just take my minister's word for it. But after all of this reflecting and knowing that there is still more to come, I see that yes, with a commitment to the contemplative life to support and inform my action in the world, I am enough. What I am led to do is enough. And you and what you do with your life is enough. What I'm doing right now may not be what I end up doing a month from now or a year from now. But if I keep moving forward in faith and surrender, the way forward will continue to unfold in familiar and decidedly not so familiar ways. And so I leave you with a couple of quotes from Dr. McGee herself and also from Thich Nhat Hanh, Vietnamese Buddhist monk. From Dr. McGee. Justice begins with our daily practice of coming home to our senses in the present moment, bringing love to work with others to change harmful systems, and pushing the refresh button to begin again. And from Thich Nhat Hanh, there is a lot that needs to be done in society. Work against war, social injustice, and so on. But first, we have to come back to our own territory and make sure that peace and harmony are reigning there. Until we do that, we cannot do anything for society. Let us begin immediately. May it be so, and amen.
Sorry, y'all. I'm going to have some compassion for myself right now. Okay. Thank you, Reverend Rob. We hope that each of you on your individual path through the joys and questions of life found some common ground with your fellow travelers today. Our closing song for today is Meditation on Breathing.
Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
Now, as we extinguish our virtual chalice flame, please read with me these words. May the light we now extinguish remain in our hearts as we go forth from this time and place, to guide and urge us into a more just world and beloved community.
Now for our benediction, these words from James Morrison. Within each of our hearts is a most glorious light. Go forth and let its spark help you understand what troubles you and others. Go forth and let its light of reason be a guide in your decisions. Go forth and bring its ray of hope to those in need of help in both body and spirit, that they may find healing. Go forth and fan the flames of passion to help heal our world. Go forth and spread the warm glow of love, pushing back the darkness of the world. Go forth and share your glorious light with the world. Go now in peace, and amen.
We thank each and every one of you for joining us today for our Pathways Zoom service. Thank you again, Reverend Rob, and a big shout out to Marty, who created the beautiful music videos for us today. Now, everyone feel free to unmute and stick around for a few minutes to visit. Our small groups will begin at 11:30.
Good morning.
Morning.
How's that, Glenn? Hey, Limbo. And Miss Barbara.
Hello.
All right, big hug. The worst part of this pandemic is I can't hug anyone.
I know it. And we missed it. We
Barbara,
missed
are you home? I am home. Oh, which Barbara? Barbara Spencer. Are you home?
I'm home in Grapevine.
Well, darn. We didn't get to see each other and go to my park.
No, but I'm coming back. I'm coming back this afternoon.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'll call you.
Okay.
Yeah, because I haven't forgotten. I'm like, oh my
Okay.
God. Nope.
And-
I'm going to be there 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh my God. I had rotten pumpkins to this. Oh, now
Oh my gosh. Uh-huh.
I love seeing everybody.
I think I saw Sue Mondale earlier. It was great to see Sue. Are you still there, Sue?
I'm still here.
Hi.
Yeah.
Sue,
Hey, girl.
is Sue Mondale also?
Yes, I'm here.
I'm
here.
Hi, Sue.
Good to
Hi.
The California Sue and the Texas Sue.
Sue Green has left.
see. Okay.
No, I'm here.
Yeah,
I
Sue
see
Green is
Sue
here.
with her little curls on.
Uh-huh. There's Shannon. Shannon and Eric.
Oh, Sue's here. Oh, good. Yes, it's been fun seeing you, Sue.
And Sue Mondale, we talk all the time on Facebook, and it's good to see you in person.
Good morning, Valerie.
Hey Bob, how is Marty and Jenna over there? Bob?
We're dressing
Harry
up.
Grisner's done meet today.
Who are you talking to, Patrick?
Bob Moore. I was wondering
Oh.
how are Marty and Jenna who are with the
Yeah,
Oh,
at Horizon. As far as they're doing fine. I think Jana is still, progressing. Again, maybe not. That's not the right word. I guess she kind of has her ups and downs, as you might expect. But as far as I know, I think they're doing as well as can be expected.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
We're not going to have a meeting today. Hey, everybody.
Let me say something quickly, shortly. You know, that's hard for me, but there's a.
Lightning just
I'm working at that now. I'm working at that. Listen, there's a plan, a short plan to reach out to all registered voters who have not voted, and because it's party related, I can't go into it, you know. But my phone number is in our directory, and anybody who has any interest at all, please call me. It's important.
Tammy's working on it. We got
Amen.
and
And everybody that's doing things, please shoot me or text me first, because I don't read my emails. Text me if you send me an email. But anything that you do, I need that information, because I'm going to send it to you the vote, and they're wanting all the information from. So it makes Pathways looks good too, and so please
Nova,
do that. Yes.
Nova, Martha
Yes.
and I just sent out 25 each postcards to union participants yesterday.
good for you.
Okay. And just I mean, I know you've been doing, because I've heard about it all summer. So I know everybody try to really think about all you've done. And because I bet Tammy's called 1,000 people.
Every day I'm making phone calls and
I know. So just try to get a ballpark figure, and so I can send that in. So I know I'm so proud of this church. For a small congregation, we do a whole lot.
And I'd like to suggest that everybody at home has a little money jar. You know, you drop your nickels, dimes, and pennies in it, and it's just sitting there. And there's a shortage of coins right now, so you could take those little jars, go to your favorite restaurant, and put that money into the tip jar. They can use it. It's a good thing. And if people might say, and why are you doing this? And you say, well, I go to Pathways Church, and we do those things. And the people love it, it's just a couple of dollars in their tip jar, but it shows that customers that don't come and sit down and eat there still love them. And these little restaurants are having a hard time. So empty those little jars of money you got sitting around.
Yes.
It's a good idea.
All that counts them.
There was a shortage of.
Yeah, there's a shortage of coins.
Reverend Moore, I have just some scrap pieces of paper. I didn't want to get up and go find a notebook, but they're filled solid with all of your information today. I just couldn't write enough. So I've got to go put it written down in better form. But it was, I loved your service. It was wonderful.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And I did too. Thank you so much. It was great as usual. Always great to see.
Yeah.
Rob
Always
is
look
always
forward to the
wonderful.
sermons, Rob. Always
Yes.
look forward to it.
Yeah. Just what we needed to hear.
Yes.
It was just perfect. I was going perfect timing.
She can tell what you had on.
Thank you. I always love coming to Pathways. Y'all spoil me a lot. So
Well, you're
Rob,
loved
we
here.
love you. Rob, we love having you. You were cracking me up when you said, like a good you were looking for books to help.
Yes.
Like, if I had the wisdom of all the books that I have and have bought, I would be a guru.
I know. I want to hold it like this and just glean on the information that's in it and just like put it to your head.
Osmosis.
Yes, I
Yep.
know. I was just like, oh, if I could
I
just.
especially liked the loving kindness meditation. I really did like that.
Mhm.
I'm gonna start. I've been doing my prayer meditation, but I've been doing more prayer than meditation. So I'm gonna try to start doing a little bit more meditation.
And the part where are you enough? You know, I say that now because we've got 9 days left before the election, and I'm going, I'm not doing enough. I need 48 hours in the day. I'm not doing enough, and I just have to accept we're all doing enough. We're all trying.
Yep.
We tend to look harshly on ourselves, you know.
Yeah. I think part of
Well,
that.
we voted, thank goodness, and
Yeah.
we're, you know.
I have something I'd like to share because I'm going to need your help.
Sherry. Sherry?
My brother seems to be dying of COVID.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Am I
Oh,
not
Sherry.
showing up?
How
No,
old
we
is he,
see you.
Sherry?
Yeah, if we could hug you.
You do.
How old is he,
That would be great.
Sherry?
He is 75,
Yeah.
and I really kind of want to go on and on about him because he's such a good man.
He's such a good man.
He has
What's his
a
first
little daughter
name,
who's
Sherry?
7, and
What's his name?
George.
I'm so
George.
sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Is
George?
he in the hospital,
Did you hear
Sherry?
me?
Yeah, he's in the hospital.
Sherry
He's in a hospital
is he in the hospital?
Yes, he's in a hospital in Arkansas,
Batesville, Arkansas.
Batesville. Yeah, thank you, Barbara.
Do they know how he contacted COVID?
I don't think so. I just don't know. If I find out, I'll let you know.
They don't do nearly enough tracing.
Mm-mm. No.
Martha, it's good to see you.
They don't do what?
In the hospital. I'm glad to see that
Well,
you're
I'm feeling
out.
much better, thank you.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Ted, where's Marty? Ted's sitting there alone.
Eating his cherry pie.
Oh.
What
Sit-
could you-
sit-
what
Cleaning, because we're having some guests over later.
Oh, okay.
so sweet.
You didn't call me.
Barbara, did you send me that email yesterday?
I did. Oh, which
Okay.
Barbara? Now, you know, we got two of us and one's BS. and
Barbara
the other-
Johnson. Barbara Johnson.
BJ
You know,
and BS, does that tell you something? I love it.
Barbara's Barbara Louise. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I'll tell you apart. Barbara Louise.
Can you
Dirt
spell
on the
Barbara?
lips and dirt on the knee. But it's just wonderful seeing everybody. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm gonna see Nova in the flesh and the blood this week. So that's good.
Yeah. Becky, how are you feeling?
Oh, there's Glenn.
Yeah,
How
I'm
you
doing better,
Glenn?
Nova. Thank you very much.
Good.
Yeah.
You're looking good, Becky.
So
Are you feeling
I'll keep
better?
trying. Let's say I'm stable.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Better than the alternative.
So
Amen. Got that right.
Good to
We'll
see you,
all-
Tracy.
We can all be better when we can look at each other in person.
And give each other a hug.
And get a Glenn hug. Yep.
Hey, Shannon. Hey, Eric. How are ya?
Oh, I just love
Oh, we're doing well. We're sitting here in the front yard.
somebody's scroll.
I can't sit
Oh,
in the front yard. I have
there's
on my
Glenn's
house
dog.
coat.
I was going to ask about your dog.
Oh,
Yeah.
here he is.
There he is. Hi, baby. Oh, it's like he sees us.
Oh,
Hello.
let me show you the cutest dog in the world.
Oh, okay. We're going to have a cute dog contest. Yeah.
He's lucky he's so cute. Or get angry
We've
at
got
him a lot.
tied for first place, both of y'all. Yeah.
She's about 9 months old now.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's great.
And she's a terrorist 1 minute and a sweetheart the next. And a pooper.
Is
on
she
the
getting
floor the
bigger?
next.
She still looks tiny.
Super extraordinary. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Oh,
it's adorable.
But
When I-
she has kept
That's
me
cute.
busy during the pandemic. I'll put it that way.
oh.
When I was,
Hey,
we
you
got a
need
puppy.
somebody to hug, right? You can always hug.
Yeah.
When we got a puppy when I was little, we promptly named it Puddles.
Been a good name for this one.
Yeah.